How are you? Welcome back. This is the start of the project. I talked a little bit on the other video. I'll show you again. I'm getting ready to work on putting a running train layout there. Wait a minute, that's not correct. There we go. Better. These are the things I'm going to be using for my layout. This is stuff that we spent only a couple of dollars for. The magnetic stud finder really works. I really can take that and find a spot on the wall. I found the stud on the wall, right next to where I hung the picture. Studs normally are supposed to be done anywhere from 16 to 24 inches. In this house, it seems to be every 32 inches, which is definitely not to code. This is my laser level. Anyway, the wonderful thing about this is it comes with a tape measure. And just in case, it also comes with a mini ruler. You got all kinds of little levels on here, so I can tell you that my desk is level. That's awesome. That's good to know. All right, next, on off. There you go. If I take this, put this right here, and get the bubble level, bubble double. I literally have a line that goes across the wall, obviously, and it'll go around the corner. Do that because this thing has 3 of those hearing aid batteries. You don't want those at all. These are the hooks and hardware I got. Comes with everything you need. I know it looks like I went out and got a whole bunch of Lionel track. Like I raided some antique store. Well, actually I did go to an antique store and they had Lionel track. And they had a Lionel 681, which I can't stop thinking about. But it's $150, so I need to stop thinking about it. So I got 8 pieces of 036 track, forms a 3-foot circle. It's just like my fast track. I got several of these. Most of this is 30-inch track, which is somewhere right around, if I measured this, probably about 30 inches long. These are the other ones. So all these are, I'm using as fitters. I'm gonna have to cut 1 or 2 of these to, or probably right about there. So that's gonna be the whole fun thing of showing how to cut and then, you know, file down. That's gonna be a nasty sound. It's gonna be like if you took a file and rubbed it across your teeth. I have all this track. I think it cost me about $114 to buy all this track. I have more track to do this office than I will need. I think these were about $20 for this. This was about $7. This was almost 20. And believe it or not, it actually comes with a screwdriver. The amazing thing is you get 3 extra batteries. Yeah! This is everything you need besides a drill and a pencil. Go to the room and mark out how high I want to have the entire layout. To run the layout, I have another Scout. Yes, it is. This is the one from the video. I just put it up the other day. It's a 1001 Lionel Scout. A lot of people hate these trains. I love this little thing. I think it's great. This was a lot of people's introduction to trains. It runs DC, not AC. You cannot put an AC power pack on this thing. It has to be a DC. Well, fortunately, the original one I got, which is this one, and is broken, and it only ran in reverse. I was getting a little despondent, and I've just said, hey, why don't you just get another Scout? And that way you don't have to go 6 months of fiddling with it before you can run the trains. Because it was her idea. She said, if we haven't relocated by March, go ahead and start a layout at home. And then once we relocate, then you can start working on your real layout. Relocate to a house where you don't have to go outside to change your mind. Something with bigger rooms, like 3x3. And my wife's very supportive of model railroading things. She enjoys it too. She loves watching the trains. Her favorite train that I've got right now is actually the Santa Fe. I've got everything I need here to do this. So what I need to do now is I need to measure doorway and the window and see which one is taller. And whichever one's the smallest one, that's the one that determines the height the railroad track goes. You can't just go up there and say, okay, I'm gonna put that 10 inches down, because guess what's gonna happen? You're going to, at some point, run into something like that. That determines the height of your railroad. That one's 12 inches. It's right under 12 inches. All right, so I'm gonna have to do that at 10 inches. Really? thing is saying there's no stud on the outside wall. Okay, it's in line with the window. All right, I found it. Okay. And serious face, serious face. Any second now, I'm gonna drill this thing right through my hand. Alright, progress so far. Taking a moment to pause and look at my progress so far. Okay. Whatever.
There's a reason why the bike fell over.
Why?
He was too tired.
Oh.
I love it.
One more.
Congratulations.
This is going to be mounting the bridge piece up onto the track. Let me show you. This section right here is a long section that's unsupported, so that's probably right about 30 or so inches of unsupported track. So this balsa wood, it's basically just some basic Revell balsa. The Midwest didn't have any in this size, so I got the balsa. This is 1 1/4 thick by 4 inches wide, 36 inches long, roughly. And then I got 1/4 by 1/4 stiffening rods. Glued them all down. Basically, I got the measurements here, so I spaced this out at about 1 inch and 3 inches and glued this down. It's been drying for several hours. This roll of tape was right about the right size. I just stuck it in here. I kept moving it down. I had to try to keep the stiffening rods from closing in, and they closed in a little bit, but not too much. So now what I have to do is I have to place this up there, screw it in place, and the way I'm going to do that is through the screw holes right there, just literally mount it underneath from the top through, and That should hold it. And then it'll go across to here, and then I'm going to glue the other piece so that it goes this way across to that bracket there. Very simple. Just that across to there, another cross piece right there. And all I have to do, because this balsa wood, is just score the other part with a knife. Not this piece, because this piece is going to stay in place, but just score it several times. My razor saw rusted and died. Somehow or another, my decal set solution got spilled a small bit inside my case, and the knife I had in there and my saw both rusted, and I just ended up having to throw them away because they were bad. I had to take this piece of balsa wood and measure and cut against the other one. I can't do it until the other one's in place, so I'm going to go ahead and get that in, and we'll be back. I'm going to do some cutting of this wood, just to show you kind of how I did it. This is a corner piece I need to put on there, and I'll show you how I did this. It's real simple. Just put it up there, cut with a knife. And you can see how soft the wood is. Even working with the pen, I probably could even cut it with a pen if I just did it long enough. This is all it takes. Razor saw would be quicker, but as I said, mine rusted out. About 20% of the way through right now. There we go. There you go, you can see how far I got now. About a third of the way through, all the way through. So there we go. And there we go, and we're through. This is what I built last night. These are the stiffening strips. Got those in place. Now you can see I pulled them closer using these cross braces right there. And I got those cut and glued in place, couple of stiffeners. I'll probably put a couple more right across here. The whole idea is to make this thing as rigid as possible so that it can take the weight of any of my trains. A little worried about the Santa Fe. It's probably one of the heavier trains I got. I need to, this weekend, get up here and right there, I need to cut along that pen line, and I can just cut and score with the pen, with the knife. Kind of a pain, but I mean, you know, this was the easiest way to do it. Build it like this, get it in place, and then cut that off so I don't have this big, ugly part right there. The stiffening strip that's right here will probably get taken off and moved down the line around here, so nothing's wasted. So anyway, there you go. Goes like that, glues in place, staying in place, and we'll just let that set and dry. Tomorrow we'll come in here and cut that. In the heating and cooling, you know, the layout expands and contracts a little bit as the heating and cooling, but it's settled in a little bit from when I put these in, but you'll notice there's a bit of a gap right there between this one hanger and the rail. So I'm gonna have to lift that, take that out, refill those holes, lift it up slightly, and get it to support the track right there. So that's another task. And so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to, just to make sure, I'm gonna put some electrical tape. I've done that on a couple of these. It's adding resistance. This track goes around and around and around, every one of these joints right there reduces the electricity just a tiny bit. What I'm gonna end up doing is, I've got the power supply right there. There's the wires. I'm gonna end up getting rid of those wires because this wire dates back to probably the 60s or 70s. That's really stiff, really brittle, really terrible. So I've got some wire coming in. They'll be here tomorrow, but I won't have time to work on it till Friday because I have to go to work. So it'll connect somewhere around here in the middle of the track. I'll solder it on. I just don't want to spend any more money on this to get some lock-ons. Otherwise I could get a lock-on and put it right there. This is the one lock-on I have. CTC lock-on. Does it work? Does it work? Oh my goodness, it works. There we go. Hey, I have one CTC lock on. I'm excited about that. Maybe this would work. Let me try that. So I know it works, I just gotta work on it. Okay, back to my long drawn out project. File. Jigsaw. Black & Decker. By the way, this is probably the worst jigsaw I've ever had in my life. Not picking on Black & Decker. I mean, maybe this one's just defective, but this points off at an angle. This should be straight out, so if I put a blade in there, where is my microphone? So this is my wonderful little 3x3 office where I'm putting in my train layout, as you've been seeing the around the top thing. It's called a shelf layout. I don't know why it's called a shelf layout. That's not a shelf layout, but for some reason O-gaugers have been using that phrase shelf layout to refer to a ceiling layout. Ceiling layout is a ceiling layout. Shelf layout is a shelf layout. Shelf layouts usually are not round. They do not go around the room. A shelf layout is usually 5 feet long, HO or N scale, usually N scale, and it is a point to point instead of a round or loop to loop. 4:25 in the afternoon. I've only been up a couple hours because I'm on night shift. I've mentioned this before. All right, everything looks terrible right now. I don't like the bag. I don't like the microphone case. I don't like the electric screwdriver case sitting over in the side, which I still haven't fixed all the track, but all right, this is what I'm talking about with my Black & Decker drill. Drill bit is supposed to go straight up and down like this. However, the chuck here on mine tilts slightly at an angle, at about a 5-degree angle, so instead of it being straight, it's about like that, so it cuts this way. I'm going to, when I move to the next house, I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to go to my trash can, and I'm going to, you probably should do this with a hacksaw at some point in the future. I really need to get a good camera for this. I'm going to use my backup pieces to cut. If those come out okay, then I'll replace the ones that are already in place, etc. It took me all that time to get this out. Ha! Portals! Quick update. I have 14 gauge wire I'm now running to my track. 14 gauge wire is a little heavy, but had to get rid of that old wire because the old wire was, being that it was solid wire and it was, I don't know, 22 gauge. For O gauge, you really want 16 gauge and 14 gauge because you're carrying a lot more power than HO or N scale. I haven't really talked about my power pack yet. This power pack this is an old lifelike power pack. Question of the day. Go ahead and leave your answers in the comments below. How many of you are nervous every time you try a project? I always get some kind of an anxiety whenever I'm gonna do something like this because I'm always afraid, because of past experience, I'm gonna mess something up. And when it works out, it's always a huge relief, but when it doesn't work out, it's always this horrible feeling of, I knew I shouldn't have messed with it. This is insulation. You need that insulation intact. So now I can pull these out. They really have those pins in there. Okay, now that I'm tired out, I need a nap. It tilts off at an angle. I have to cut slightly canted to get a straight cut. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Plan B. Xeron rail nippers. Yes. I would recommend a hacksaw for this. I have a hacksaw, but it doesn't have blades. There we go. How about that? See that? There. See how this comes to a point? It should be round like that. When I cut it, it crimped like that. So if I can straighten that out, then I can keep using the Xeron track cutters. Hey, I think it worked. There we go. So now all I gotta do is tighten that down. I have figured it out. I don't know if you can see that. No, you couldn't because I was on the way down. All right, so there. It's gotta be like that, underneath that, and crimp these together. Tight. Keep shaping that. Okay, so it just takes a little while. It does work. Okay, that's gonna bug me. Needle nose pliers are a must for this. And all you gotta do is just kind of fold out the area where it crimped in. Ah, mash that in good. I gotta hide this, it's driving me nuts. Let me try spreading this a lot more. This out. Perfect. There's the lens. That's a lot better. All right, here's my lifelike power pack. Got the red goes to here, the black goes to here. I'm using spade connectors to bring it right up here to my CTC. See, it's joining here. That's where the black line is. Goes to here. The red goes to this rail, black goes to this rail. So when I take my feeder wire, which is right down there, red to the outer, black, red, black, red. I'll be showing it later, but I want to run the black along that outside rail right there. So it's going to come right here and just run alongside there. Alright, there we go. It's 5:30 in the morning. It's the next day. Here I've successfully adjusted all of the track. So now it's gapped away from the walls. The train's not running into the walls. The biggest problem I got is I had to shorten a couple of pieces of track, about 1.5 inches. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Over to right about there. So that's been shortened about 1.5 inches, so it's 28.5 inches. Just a little bit less. I would have to shorten it, but there you go. So the track is up, installed, the track runs, but the voltage drops in a few points to where I've actually got to reach over and tap the train to get it rolling. Some of that may be just the train. The track is dirty, needs cleaning, but I'm gonna put feeders all the way across the track. So tomorrow I will spend quite a while soldering. If I had enough time tonight, I would do it, but I just need to stop. It's 5:30. I'll be switching days at the end of the month, so I'll have more daytime stuff to do, like painting for the model kits. That's why I'm stopped on the model kits right now. I'm gonna paint those. I would really like to have probably about 4 more brackets, maybe 3, because that one's pretty well supported. I got a lot of supports there, but at least a couple there, 1 more here, and 1 over there. got the train running. I ended up having to cut and clean the track in 2 spots, and I ran 1 feeder, and basically by cleaning the drivers of the train, cleaning the track, that pretty much was all I needed. Had to put supports in the back 2 corners. If I had any more balsa wood, I probably would have put the supports in the front 2 corners as well, but this is good enough. I got the train running for now, as you can see, running just fine. A couple of little stall spots which I routinely have to clean, but aside from that, I think I got it going. All in all, successful project. I think I spent a total of about $135 on it. If I had Givens and druthers, I would have done different, as I would have got 3 more CTC connectors and run feeder wires from the connectors to the connectors, and that's about it. I would have loved to have put some kind of guardrails, maybe out of balsa wood or styrene, just to make sure the trains were safe on the track. I had the Lionel Scout take a spill early on, which is why I ended up putting the support rails up. But aside from that, it's running, it's good, and the project is done. So tell me what you think. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. It helps the channel, YouTube, to find us, helps search engines to find us. Maybe at some point in the future, as I'm always saying, maybe Lionel will start giving me free trains, or Williams, or MTH, or even Atlas. Alright, like, subscribe, comment. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope this gives you ideas for your own layout or your own room. In case you don't have room for a layout, this is something you can try. I only spent, like I said, about $135. Alright, thanks very much. See you next time. Bye.